right. Finally caught it not working. Oh, started that time. Okay, so it took three times to start. So I can hear something going on outside. I don't know what this says here. Nothing saying it's key related though. Yeah, I can hear a click outside. Interesting. Let's take a look under the hood. Something's making a light humming noise under the hood. I don't know what it is. Maybe it is the starter. Let's see again. Yeah, so definitely something like a solenoid's clicking under the hood. Okay, cool. I was literally coming out here to take out this push button and clean the electrical connections because I thought that might be the problem. But the button seems to work fine. I mean, it responds every time you press it. There's no weird key thing coming up on the dash whenever you, so I got my foot on the brake. You know, nothing saying that it's key related or anything like that anywhere. So I do think this might actually be starter or starter relay related. I don't know if you can hear it clicking. Let's see if I can hold the phone out so you can listen to it. Something's clicking under the hood, so I think it's, I wish I could get somebody to try to start while I looked under the hood. Let's see if my wife will help me. Okay, so I was wondering, because there's a little green and yellow light that have a key on it that came on, but when it starts normally, you can see those come on. So, again, just kind of confirming that I don't think it's a key issue. It might be a starter issue, or I was just looking online, maybe it's a battery terminal connection issue. So I'm going to check the battery terminal, see if there's any corrosion there. Okay, so here's the battery. You see the negative one looks good. It's not loose or anything, so that's good. Positive, doesn't look horrible, but there is some corrosion. Not a lot. Maybe seems pretty tight. Maybe I'll take that off and clean it up though. Well, there's a little bit of corrosion here on the positive one, so potentially it could be our problem. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use this guy to clean it. So, you know, this, you can get these at the auto parts stores or online. This just goes on top. Let's clean that. I think you're only supposed to turn it clockwise. And then this comes apart like that. And you can use this piece to clean inside of here real good. So I'm gonna do that. And then I might hit it with a little bit of this battery cleaner just to clean off any existing corrosive products, and then just rinse it. Okay, so this is the next day. Cleaned off the battery terminals. I fully charged the battery overnight just to make sure it wasn't an issue. I'm also using the key up against the start stop to make sure it's not a key transponder issue. Okay, well that was a bad example, but last time I did that, it didn't start when I did that. So let me see if I can recreate that. Okay, so it didn't work that time by hand. Didn't work that time by hand. I'm gonna use a key. It did work that time with a key. Huh. So maybe it is a key. I don't, didn't work that time. Okay, so it's not the key. Because look, I'm starting with a key. I think. Okay, yeah. I think it's a starter issue. I'm guessing. All right, so yeah, next step is to remove the starter. There's actually a good video already online on YouTube on how to do this, so I'm just gonna link it below in the notes. If I can put it here in the corner somewhere, I'll try to do that. But basically, there's the starter up here, and I'm gonna try to take it off without taking off this exhaust pipe, which is what the video recommends, and we'll see if I can do that. So that'll be the next thing, is replacing the starter. Here I got a remanufactured one from AutoZone that I'm going to install and see if that fixes our problem. So to take off these manifold bolts up there, you can just use it's a 10mm socket on a wrench, and you can get up there without having to use a wobble extension or anything. U-joint for these two up here at least. Yeah, you can see, I think, hopefully. Oh yeah, over there. I get my ratchet up there for these two 10mm bolts. The one pointing in front, I think, is a little bit bigger. Let me see what size that is. Okay, so the two 10mm you got to get from underneath were pretty easy to break loose. The one pointing towards the front is a 12mm, and I just put a little extension on it on my ratchet, and I was able to get to that 12mm from here and break that one loose. So I'll take this bracket out next. So the top bolt is actually about 6 inches long. See it or not, where the socket is back there with the blue stripe. So it's kind of towards the back of the starter, and so it's right here where my finger is, right here. So that's where the head of the bolt is. So you can weave a socket with an extension on it from kind of the wheel well area and get it on the head of that bolt. It's a 14mm. And then I just used my 1/2-inch ratchet and broke it loose. And so it's broken loose, and now I'm just gonna take it out, and that'll be the top bolt out. This is what the top bolt looks like. So, you know, here's where it mounts to the engine. And so that's what it looks like. That's why you gotta go to, you know, put your socket towards the back of the starter to get to it. And yep, that's how you take it off. So I'm working on the bottom bolt, and I had to take off this little plate cover here, two 10mm bolts. Take out the bottom one and just loosen the top one. And now I think I can get the bottom starter bolt out all the way, now that this plate's out of the way. I also disconnected this sensor from right here. I think maybe it's a knock sensor, I don't know, but I just want to make sure I don't bind it up while I get the starter out, because it's loose now, so just don't want to break anything. Okay, so I got the old starter out. I just had to maneuver it to get this white clip off. You just push on the clip on the back of it and slides off. And then for this one, there's a rubber boot on top of here. They have to pull the boot off, and then you can access a 12mm bolt right there that you can take off and unscrew that, and then the connection comes off, and then you just gotta maneuver it out. So now I'm ready to put the new one in. One other thing I'm gonna do before I put the new one in is I'm gonna swap these two brackets, because you can see that this one has a clip here and a clip here on the old one. The new one just has a single clip. So I'm just gonna unbolt this and take this bracket off and swap these two brackets so that I have the right clips to install the new one. All right, so I just spent like 30 or 40 minutes trying to get the new one in. So if you're looking at it from the bottom, it'll kind of look like this. You try to push it in, and I couldn't get the back of it in because this part of the bracket kept catching right here on the top side. And so
Again, this is looking from the bottom. I had one hand on it. Finally, what I did is I had one hand on it, and I just kind of pushed up on this lightly to kind of rotate it, and it just popped in after like 30 or 40 minutes fighting with it. So something about getting this, you know, pushing on it, got it to drop in, and now it's in. So now I just need to bolt it up and finish the rest of the connections. I put this connection on and this connection on before I put it in, and so now I just need to put, I guess just clip the rest of the connections onto these, put the bolts in. So I'll do that.
The final little tip here is when you're putting the starter up, make sure this green loom is out of the way. It's not stuck above the starter. Mine was getting crushed basically between the starter and whatever's above it, and so I couldn't get the starter in place, so I had to kind of loosen it and get it back down, get it out of the way. But yeah, now I got the top bolt in, I got the bottom bolt in. Now it's just kind of reassembling all the little stuff. I got everything back together. This is start number 10. And so it starts 10 times. I don't know if it fixed the problem yet. I'm gonna give it back to my sister-in-law. Let her drive it around for, you know, whatever, week or two, and if she doesn't have any problems after a couple of weeks, then maybe I will agree that this was the problem. But and I want to give it a couple of weeks, and yeah, I'll do an update if it doesn't have any issues. Then if it does, then you'll see me here in a second.